Hi everyone, I'm Phoebe and I work at Eric, and I'm going to be talking to you a bit about my squiggly career journey and how it led me from wanting to be a barrister to being head of content at Eric. So, first things first, what do I actually do at Eric? Like, what does my 9 to 5 look like? So, as head of content, I am the main writer and editor of all of the content that you see on the app. So, my day to day consists of writing the amazing opportunities that Josh finds on the internet. So, whether that's a paid internship, a training scheme, a course, an event, you name it. It's my job to make sure that the copy, so i.e., the writing that you read, is as engaging as possible. So, whether that's an attention grabbing title to making sure that the main body of that post is as interesting and to the point as possible, and just also making sure that it's without all of that fluff and jargon that sometimes makes entry level opportunities a bit inaccessible when you don't really understand what they're asking for, what the requirements are, etc. So I also do this for our amazing partners and clients. So just making sure that their copy matches what else we have on the app, just ensuring that continuity and just making sure that our Gen Z audience find what they're promoting, accessible and easy to understand and read. And I also do curate the images that you see on the app as well. So just making sure that everything visually looks pleasing as well. So it has been a journey getting to where I am today. So even though I now work in the creative industries, that wasn't an option that I actually thought that I could have when I was younger. I think I also didn't consider whether I could actually be successful in the creative industries or whether it would like pay well, whether I'd be good at it, that kind of thing. So if you asked me like 10 years ago what I thought I would be doing now, I would 100% have told you that I would be a barrister. I really thought I was going to be the next like Jessica Pearson from Suits or Annalise Keating from How to Get Away with Murder. And I even studied law at university, and actually became a legal assistant before this job at Eric. But it wasn't until I actually started the career in law that I had that I realized it didn't really fulfill me creatively. It didn't really satisfy that creative part of my brain. And about like half a year to 8 months into my job as a legal assistant, I did start looking for more creative roles. But the main setback that I faced was that when I was applying for these roles, I didn't really have, I guess, that kind of tangible work experience, or actually much experience, to be honest. Whilst I was at uni, I did have some freelance like content creation jobs and a bit of like styling, but I didn't really have, I guess, like that solid experience that companies were looking for when I was applying for those roles. Um, and I think that also because like the application forms and stuff that you have to do when you're applying for these jobs always included like the traditional CV and cover letter. I just didn't have enough stuff to kind of pad out my CV and cover letter to show them that yes, like I am the right person for the job. So after lots of rejections and some setbacks, I then found a job at Eric. So I think the job I actually found the job. I think it was on an Instagram post. So definitely don't count out Instagram if you're looking for entry level opportunities. And the application form I think was just it was actually like 3 questions. So it was like no CV needed, like no cover letter. It was just asking like, why do you want to work at Eric? Why do you think that you're right for the copywriting job? And then there was another question I think, but I can't remember what that was. But that just meant that firstly, I could actually just showcase why I was like right for the role. Admittedly, I didn't actually know what a copywriter was before applying for the job, but after a quick Google, I was like, oh no, it's just like writing, it's a mixture of creativity and like the things that I think that I'm actually good at and passionate about as well. So I was like, no, I can definitely, write about my passions and also my like experience writing. And, my law degree was like very, essay based. So I was like, I definitely am good at writing. And then the other question was obviously about like why Eric. And, I did some research, like looked up who Sam and May were, and I was like, I think that the values and like the ethos of the company really align with what I'm interested in, and like a company that I would also want to work for. So I just had to kind of put that into an application. Um, and yeah, I think that that way of like applying for jobs and that style of application was just something that really then helped me kickstart my career, because up until then it really was like a struggle trying to showcase my skills on my CV, as I mentioned, and everything like that. Whereas just being able to answer a couple of questions about why I think I'm the right fit for the job, etc., just that really helped me, I guess, overcome that main obstacle of like the lack of experience that I had, which was great. And I think that 3 years into my role at Eric, that has, definitely changed a lot since, I first joined the company. I think it's just allowed me to, grow and develop in my skills and, just like obviously become a better copywriter, but also just like more confident in my early career as well. And I think that this kind of moves on nicely to, I guess, the best career advice that I've ever been given. And it was actually with a conversation that I had with my personal tutor when I was in my second year at uni. And I was just like really stressed about figuring out what I was going to do after uni. Like so many of my course mates and friends were applying for, like further studies and, courses and things to become solicitors or barristers. And I was just still unsure as to whether that was the right like future for me. And she, we had a back and forth, and she said to me that when thinking about your future career, think about the stuff that you make extra time for. She said it's the stuff that you are really passionate about, that you make extra time for, that should be a starting point when figuring out your future career. Um, to this day, I think this has been the biggest light bulb moment I think I've ever had, actually. Not just career wise, but just generally. I was like, oh, yes, that makes so much sense. Um, because she said to me, she was like, okay, in your spare time, are you reading legislation? Are you sitting in court cases? Like, are you doing all of those things? And the answer, honestly, was not really. So I think that then led me to think about, okay, I should be doing something a bit more creative. Yes, I was a legal assistant before, but I think that conversation really sticks out to me because it just, it means that, okay, don't stress about all of these, external things. Just focus on what you're truly passionate about. And then I think that from then you can, research and look into different industries or different roles, or figuring out what skills you might need or, like need to learn, etc., etc. And I think that oftentimes there are so many roles out there that you're not taught or you don't learn about in school or even in higher education. And it just takes that little bit of figuring out for yourself what you want to do and what you're truly passionate about. um and yeah, that has like led me to the career that I have now. So I hope that this short talk has helped in some way, has given you a bit of food for thought. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. So thanks very much.